Let me ask you a question. How many times have you either been stuck in an unsuccessful relationship, or perhaps you want to attract a successful relationship in business or in your personal life in order to help you to achieve your business goals or your life goals? Well, as an author, as a speaker, as an entrepreneur, we all desire to have successful relationships because when you have successful relationships, what happens is that everything starts to work. And of course, we desire that. And today we have an expert on love and intimacy and successful relationships. And her name is Denisa Riha Paleckova. And she has worked with tens of thousands of entrepreneurs and ordinary people that have managed to transform their lives and their businesses through managing to start having amazing habits, habits that have determined their successful relationships. So, Denisa, please tell us, what does it take to create a successful relationship? What kind of habits do we need to have? And how have you helped people to create those kind of amazing relationships?
Thank you, Lily, for welcoming me here so warmly and to be able to share about this, because I'm really passionate about sharing what it makes, what do we need to not only find, but maintain a beautiful, loving, and passionate relationship. Because, frankly, it is an area where in the Western modern world, we often do not succeed. The divorce rate in most Western countries is about 50%, and people do divorce just only after 3 to 5 years after being in a marriage. So obviously we need to learn because even if we find the most beautiful partner, mostly after a few years time of, living your daily life, having kids, maybe building a home, people find out that they do drift apart. And then often they would say things like, oh, it kind of cooled off, or even there is a barrier between the two of us. And it takes a time. And then they would say, well, maybe we just need to split because we don't find a way how to be together. And that's where I love to step in because I know that in my personal view, about 80% of relationships or partnerships which go apart and split, they could perfectly be together if they knew how. And here is the point. Why we fail in relationships is mostly because we didn't learn how to live in one on a long-term basis without sacrificing our feelings of just surviving in the relationship. When I teach a workshop and I ask people, how many of you did have parents that you feel, oh, their love and passion was so inspiring, I would love to live the same way? And when I have a group of 100 people, there is maybe just 4 or 5 hands going up. It's 4 to 5%. And I think this is a perfect example, not just of this group, but of our society, because most people, they either have parents they divorced or they kind of survived being together, but maybe they were not faithful, or they were just like, neighbors in the same apartment or in the same house, not really knowing how to share their love and passion for each other. And this is why we are also failing, because we didn't have a good role models, most of us, and we didn't have good examples around us, also later on in our lives. And we didn't basically learn about relationships. We learn about mathematics and geography and grammar, but we do not learn how to have a healthy, loving relationship with each other And on top of that, we don't learn how to have a gentle, loving relationship with ourselves. So this is also something I would like to stress, because so often, and this is, I would say, the rule number one, we so often wish to kind of improve the relationship by improving our partner, or by hoping that he will give something to us. He will give us more love, he will give us more attention. But we can start by asking ourselves, do I love myself enough? Do I give loving attention to myself? And this is very important, especially for women, because we do tend to long for the attention of the man we love. And I hear so many women who are saying, he is not loving me enough. He doesn't pay attention the way I need him to pay attention to me, or he's busy with something else, he's in his mind, and so on. But then we could ask, do you pay attention to yourself? Do you pay attention to your own yourself and take care lovingly of yourself? And that's actually where it starts. Because if we know how to do that, if we are really gentle and loving and bring the nourishment to us, then we are much more likely to attract the same behavior in our partner. And then on the other side, if we are not really listening to our own feelings and needs, and we are constantly crossing our boundaries, it can mean also by, for example, overworking or just suppressing your feelings and trying to fit and just be nice for the environment. And if we are kind of suppressing ourselves in this sense, we are very likely to experience something similar from our partner, like he's not hearing us, he's not listening, he's crossing our boundaries in many ways, and he doesn't even notice. So this is the number one rule I would start with. Love yourself and really learn deeply, what does it mean? It means bringing more gentleness, more attention to how you feel and what you need, and the habit of nourishing yourself, nourishing your soul, your heart, and being gentle with yourself when you are going through hard times.
And what impact does that have on other people around us? So let's say if I was dating a guy that doesn't pay attention to me and doesn't listen to me and doesn't do the kind of things that I want him to do. And then all of a sudden, let's say I start paying more attention to myself and I look better and I feel better and maybe I'm more exciting and I'm going out with my friends and I'm having bubble baths and things like that. What impact is that going to have on him?
Oh, of course, he's going to pay more attention to me. And this is basically the outcome I hear again and again from women who, for example, they wished their partners to be more present with them, to be more loving, to just notice them in a certain way. And when the man didn't have to change anything. He didn't need to learn anything. He wasn't in a course, nothing. But when the woman does change something inside her, then I do keep hearing things like, wow, he's paying more attention to me. It can be the partner, but it can be also other men, you are meeting in at work or on the street, or, just on a daily basis. I do hear again and again, like the men, they are more attentive, they are more gentle with me, they pay more attention. I feel heard and seen and supported by men when I did this change in myself. And it includes the intimate partnership, the intimate partner, and it also includes other people, and not just men. I heard women sharing with me that their kids would behave differently, or even, this is kind of funny but true, the cat or the dog, like my cat would cuddle with me more. And so basically the result is that then we experience more love also from others, the men, the kids, the animals, the pets in our home, because we are cultivating this love in ourselves. And what we cultivate inside also comes to us from the outside.
Thank you. And let's say if there are a lot of people who are feeling, let's say, that they are not worth it. And because of that, perhaps they attract a lot of people in their lives, including their business partners or their life partner, that doesn't appreciate them. And they're kind of stunned to see, wow, it's like, I feel I'm not worth it. And at the same time, it's almost like the universe is reflecting that back to me. And I find that everywhere. And for those people that are going crazy, trying to find people to appreciate them and kind of get so desperate because nothing seems to be working, what would you say to them? What kind of habit would they need to instill in order to make that change and make sure that people around them, business partners and life partners, appreciate them? Because I think that's so important, like, you can never really charge the kind of money you want to charge. You can never really, feel truly fulfilled and have a successful relationship if the people around you don't recognize and appreciate your worth.
It's true. I will say a few words why we have this experience when we have it. Mostly it's because of the way of our upbringing in the childhood, because the way we were brought up, it really creates deep imprints in how we experience the world and how we experience ourselves. And mostly we did not have the perfect education, the perfect upbringing. There would be many things like, stop crying, there is no reason for crying, or you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, or just look at the neighbor's daughter, she is much more better than you, and so on. And basically, if we hear those words, we believe our parents, we believe our mothers and fathers because we love them. And then unconsciously, we save these words for ourselves. And later on in life, we just repeat these words for ourselves. And then later it's us who is telling to ourselves, like, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, and so on. But basically, this is sad. However, we are human. And as human, we can change what we experienced earlier on in life. We have the capacity to see ourselves from a larger perspective. And so I would recommend to start with just being aware of what's going on in your head. What do you keep telling yourself? And the first step is not to change it, because it's really difficult to change. It's not so fast, it's not so easy. But what you can do quite easily is become aware of what's going on in your head. For example, you have a desire, and then there comes this thought, well, but this is not for you. You can never reach it, for example. So you become aware of this thought you are having, and you are cultivating the habit of awareness of what's going on in your head, which kind of thoughts and which kind of feelings do you repeat on a habitual basis. And after some time, you can actually observe there comes this point where you have the freedom to choose something else. So it starts by being aware of what's going on for you. And then after a while, you start choosing to think and feel something else, to not kind of dive in this thought or not to believe it. And this is actually where your freedom starts, because first you observe, you notice what's going on for you. Then at some point you feel, okay, but I do have the freedom not to believe this thought. And then you look, what would I wish to believe instead? Which kind of thoughts and feelings can I have that will support me actually on my life path? So we can actually choose what we think and what we feel and where we go in our lives. But don't push yourself to kind of be there in a minute. It takes some time, but we do have this freedom. And I love this principle because, of course, I love manifestation. I do believe we can manifest whatever we desire, but we are limited in what we can desire. So we are kind of hitting our limits of what we believe can be true for us. And what is also, and I mean, in this world and in your channel, probably there are many people, many followers who do believe in manifestation. And what is also beautiful, that we can use this principle of manifestation or, kind of building your world also when we go to our past. So it's not just about our future, but also our past. And one of the processes I use in my work is the process of rewriting your past. And basically it means creating your ideal childhood, your ideal upbringing, your ideal world where you are loved and supported, and you are fully using your talents and gifts. And this is a beautiful, beautiful healing experience that can help to bring harmony and love and nourishment to our soul, and kind of fills the gaps. For example, if we were not really loved by our parents the way we needed to, or our parents were even not there maybe, we can anyway create this experience of being loved and supported by our parents, even though we didn't experience it back then. And so it's about filling our soul with what needs to be there, and then having this solid ground. We are we are in a much better state to actually plan and thrive in our future.
Perfect. And one last tip about how to have successful relationship. One last habit that we should have.
Oh, I love the habit. It is a habit if we learn it, and it's about really when there is a crisis and things are going wrong, and our partner is not behaving the way we wish him to, or he's saying words which are hurting us and so on, and then we also say words which are, for example, hurting him, and doing things which are hurting the other side. And so this does happen. I want to stress it. It's okay. I mean, conflict is part of our lives. Disagreements are part of our lives. Disappointments are part of our lives and relationships. So don't try to necessarily avoid that, because mostly this ends in suppression, and suppression doesn't work. Don't be afraid of disagreements and conflicts and disappointments, but what is important in order to live in a long-term loving and passionate relationship is the habit of turning toward each other. Even if we are in pain, we are hurting, we are disappointed, we still have the habit of opening our heart to our partner. And it also includes the willingness to be vulnerable, to not just have a mask, like I'm okay, but really being ready to share the depth and the depth of our heart, and also allowing ourselves to be fragile in front of our partner. And for example, instead of being angry, showing actually how sad we feel deep inside. And this creates real connection. This creates real understanding. And this can also open the heart of the other side. And so I think this is the vital point in our relationships when it's about intimate relationships. You don't necessarily need it in business or office and so on, but you definitely want to have this in your intimate connections. And it is also about sharing your shadows and your depths and, you know, places where you feel there is no ground under your feet, and being able to show this gentle, fragile side of ourselves with our partner. It creates the depth, the connection we desire, where we can actually feel loved and understood and grateful to be able to have someone who can be there with us.
Thank you so much for that. I do agree. And I think, for example, in my own relationship, I find that the most powerful words are actually, I'm sorry. And, you know, being able to say that really quickly, because I think when you're able to accept that you're sorry, and I think not a lot of people are able to even say that word or to accept that they were sorry. I think some people will never say that, even if they know that they you know, they were in the wrong. And I think that is one of the keys, you know, I'm sorry and I forgive you and I love you, you know, all those three things are really key in order to have really good business and love relationships. Thank you so much for this interview. Can I ask you, if people were to connect with you, how can they reach out, and do you have any like videos they can watch so they can find out a bit more about what you do?
Yes, on my homepage, which is denisapaleckova.com, they can actually find a free video series which supports them in relationships. I do recommend to watch it if you have or not have a partner, because even many people do love to learn about relationships even when they are single. It's the best way how to prepare for your next partnership. And so it is a video series, the 3 keys to a happy relationship, and you can learn which principles you need to maintain in a relationship so you can grow together. And also it shows you, even if you are in a painful point in your relationship, it will show you the way how to reconnect with each other.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.